Hi, this is Daniel Carrero, and today I will be showing you how to use filters to make effects on a photo. So we are going to start off by opening our picture that we're going to edit and add filters to. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is duplicate our background. So we can just drag this down here and make a copy of it. So we have something we can work with without altering the original. Second thing we're going to want to do is select the area that we are going to use, and we want to fit about 5 of these filters on top and 5 on the bottom. So we want to take approximately 1/5 of this square, so it should be right around here. It's okay if it's a little bit off, just about there. And then we want to go up to filter and pick the type of filter we're going to use. So we're going to start off with some blurs. First one I want to do is a radial blur. And this is the radial blur spin. So we can decide how much spin we want to it. We can increase the amount of spin a little bit. We'll hit OK. And we'll get that cool spin effect on there. So after we're done with that, if we hold in, well, we don't hold in anything, we can just drag this over to the next spot we want to affect. And once we get that selected how we want, we can go up to filter and do the next filter. So to do that, you just have to have the background copy selected, and it'll work nicely like that. So we are going to go and do a Gaussian blur next. And this one can blur it quite a bit depending on how much we select. So we don't want to make it too blurry, so you can still make it out. Just want to find a nice even spot. I think that's about good. And that's the effect of a Gaussian blur. Now we can move this over and start our next effect. Just a smidge more. Right about there. And for this one, we'll go to filters, and then we'll use a motion blur. So with the motion blur, we can choose the angle the motion is at. Let's make it downward. And we can increase the amount of blur. So we'll do something like that. You can go really high, then it looks a little strange. So let's do about there. Do OK. And then we'll go ahead and move over to our next selection. This will be another blur. So let's do a box blur for this one. And we can choose the radius. You can see how blurry it looks quite quickly, so we don't want to do too much here. I'm going to keep it about there. We'll hit OK. Now we have our box blur. And then we can move our selection over again and do our next blur. For this one, I'm going to do a distort. We're going to do a distort twirl. And so we'll be able to pick how much twirl there is. I actually like to do a good amount with this one because it looks pretty cool. Look at that. And that'll be it for our first row. and then we'll drag this selection down. We'll start our second row here. And for this one, we're going to do another distort. This time we're going to do the zigzag distort. I'm going to increase the amount of distort and the ridges a little bit. Actually, like a lot of ridges. It looks really cool. We'll hit OK. And you can see that. We'll drag this over to our next selection. Now, at this point, we're going to use the filter gallery to pick some more interesting ones. So, I like the patchwork filter, which is right here. And we can pick the square size. So in this case, let's see. Make the squares a little bit bigger. Drop the relief a bit. Look at that. That looks awesome. I really like that one. And after that, move our selection over. And go back to the filter gallery. And this time we're going to go for the glowing edges. So let's see. Can't find it. Here it is, glowing edges. That looks crazy. So let's just do that. That's pretty neat. And after that, move on over. Go back to the filter gallery. Oops. And I'm going to pick the glass filter. Let's see if we increase the smoothness a little bit. Let's increase the smoothness and the distortion. There we go, that looks cool. We'll do OK. And then after that, we'll make our last one. Oh, not the glass filter. Filter gallery. Let's do angled strokes on this one. Increase the stroke length a little bit. Get a little sharper. Hit OK. And there's that. Now we can use the crop tool. Well, now we want to deselect. So there we go. Now we can use the crop tool and get rid of some of the excess that we did not filter. Do this carefully. A little bit less. About there. And then we'll hit OK. Get that cropped. Now we want to use the text tool so we can label all these. So we'll start right here. I'm going to change the text font a little bit, make it a little smaller. So I'm going to drop us down to an 18. There's our radial blur spin. And we'll do our Gaussian blur, our motion blur, this one is our box blur, and the last one was our distort twirl. And OK for that. Then we'll label the ones down here as well. Do it a little higher so you can still see the effect. This was our distort zigzag. This was the patchwork. It's a little hard to read right there, so let's see if I can't just bring it down. There you go, that's easier to read. And this one was glowing edges. This was our glass filter. And this was angled strips. And there you go. That's how you can use all these filters to make a cool pattern and have them labeled. Thank you so much.